Robinson. Welcome to the Conversations with Rita show. Tonight, I'm very saddened by what is going on in the country today, for all the lives that have been lost in Las Vegas because of the senseless killing that has taken place. Tonight, I was supposed to have as my guest Reverend Jared Sawyer. There's a lot going on tonight. It's my understanding that someone had been murdered at a student at Morehouse. I don't know if that's what's going on, but the show must go on, as they say. So there is a call-in number if you want to call in and ask me any questions. If you want to talk about what's going on in the world today as it relates to gun control. Some people have issues with praying. I made a comment earlier today about praying about the situation, and some people feel that prayer is not enough, that we should pray, or not just pray, but take some type of action. So the number should be on the screen for you to call in if you have any questions or comments for me, Rita, on the Conversations with Rita show. And I'm also going to go Facebook Live if you have any questions for me. You can let me know. Okay, maybe not. But while I'm waiting on my guest to come, just continue to talk to you and try to connect on Facebook Live. Okay, maybe not. The number again is 404-474-0087. If there's anything that you would like to talk about, if you want to comment on our president's response, if you think that was a good response. Also, if you want to discuss what was going on in Puerto Rico, if you feel that our government is acting accordingly, if we should do more. So I'm here, 404-474-0080. And again, this is Conversations with Rita. You can have a conversation with me as well. So again, if you have any questions or comments, please call in. I can answer them now. Again, while I'm waiting, I will talk a little bit about the Second Amendment. Part of my daytime job, as many of you probably know, is that I am a high school teacher. I do teach civics, also known as American government, and one of the things that we do discuss is the Bill of Rights, and we talk about the Second Amendment. And we talk about sometimes how easy it is for people to get weapons that the ordinary person shouldn't have. What a lot of people probably don't know is that guns can be gotten at trade shows. Background checks are not normally given there, and so that makes it easy for a person to get the type of weapons that the person used in Las Vegas. I think now our elected officials need to take a strong stance against the right to bear arms. Yes, there is a right, but in my opinion, there should be a limit. And what just happened in Las Vegas is a prime example of that. And I do understand that the NRA does a lot to ensure that people can get any type of weapons that they want at any time. Usually they will use the excuse that people have the right to collect guns. They should be able to have any type of gun that they want. That is their constitutional right. And there should be a limit, in my opinion, as to how people can acquire guns and the type of guns that they would like to receive. And again, if you would like to join in on this conversation where we can have a discussion, again, Conversations with Rita will go on tonight. So if you want to come in, comment on anything that is going on, again, the number, as you can see on the screen, is 404-474-0080. And I do see there are some people who have joined. Feel free, again, to call in, type a question, and possibly I can help answer that or address that. But this morning when I woke up and I found out what happened in Las Vegas, and at that time the numbers were not as big as they were, the first thing that I posted was to pray for America. And I know there are some people who feel that that's not enough, or that prayer does not work, that it's passive. But do understand, prayer is important. There is so much going on in this country, and a lot of it may be because of lack of prayer. But not just pray. Yes, we should work as well. We have to do more as it relates, again, to gun control. The tone of what's going on in this country, we need to love each other more. We need to also take a look at mental illness. That's another issue that should be addressed in this country. So, yes, prayer works, but in addition to prayer, we should also address stronger gun control. We need to also address mental illness in this country. And we definitely need to bring some type of harmony back to the United States, because we're all in this together. And I'm so very happy. My guest is here now. All right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How are you?
I'm finding you.
Wonderful. I'm great. I'm great.
Okay. Now, my guest has come. I guess you're tired of hearing me ramble now. But I'm so delighted to have as my guest today my former student, the Reverend Jared Sawyer, who is now a student at Morehouse College, majoring in religion. So, I'm going to start off by talking about how you got started. I did some research, of course, and I read where you became a minister at 6 because of a dream. Will you share that dream with us, please?
Yeah, sure thing. I started preaching at the age of 5, actually.
Oh.
I was called by God in a dream. The dream that I had was God speaking to me and telling me that He wanted me to preach, that I had a destiny to preach. And following that call into the ministry, I went down to my mom and said, hey, Mom, God called me to preach. And it wasn't so much she didn't believe me, it's just she didn't take it very seriously because I'm a 5-year-old coming to her, talking to her about, I want to preach. And so next thing you know, I decided that I was going to prove it, first of all, to myself, and then to the rest of the world, that this is what God has called me to do. And so I went out and went from church to church, including my own church at that time, which was Center Hill Baptist Church, where I was at until about 2015, when I graduated from high school. And I just took notes from what the preacher was saying and would come back home, study. Go back home, study, and to begin to really look deeply into the Word of God, figure out what is God trying to speak to me. And I eventually came to my pastor at Center Hill, and I went to another pastor as well, who was my mom's piano teacher at that time, and told her that God had called me to preach. And
did she believe you?
She did believe me.
Oh,
and
wow.
my pastor believed me as well, but Pastor Sue Hampton, the other pastor at Love Divine Ministries, my mom's piano teacher, she gave me my first opportunity to preach. And it was on Easter Sunday.
Okay.
Of all Sundays, and I preached on the 7 last words of Christ.
Really?
I did. And from then on, I had just started, going from church to church, preaching. Eventually, at the age of 11, I went ahead and started Jared Sawyer Ministries as a nonprofit organization.
And when was this again?
This was at the age of, I believe this was around age 10 or 11, one of those two. I started Jared Sawyer Ministries as a nonprofit.
Right.
That was essentially focused on creating a worldwide movement to lead people in faith, love, and joy.
Right.
And in that, started to produce events from youth and young adult conferences throughout the city of Atlanta to other virtual events and the whole 9 yards. And then when I graduated from high school, went to Morehouse, and a lot of wonderful things have happened in the past 2.5 years that have taken ministry to a whole nother level and have taken several other opportunities to another level.
What is that?
Or avenues, rather.
What is that?
Well, I came out with my latest book, Walking in Victory, 4 Power Tips to Help You Reach Your Potential in God. And I received numerous awards for it from, actually, for this year, I was named in the top 200 authors in the world by Richtopia.
Wow.
And I was number 101.
Wow.
I surpassed some people that I never would have thought I surpassed.
Wow.
It hit the bestseller list this year. It's done exceptionally well. I toured the book into several markets. I started in Washington, D.C. last year. I partnered with the Smithsonian Museum of African American History.
Oh, that's awesome.
Spoke at the White House on that Friday, that Saturday, participated in the grand opening festivities of the Smithsonian Museum. Which of course attracted the likes of people like Oprah Winfrey, Will Smith, all of which I was able to fellowship with and spend a lot of time with over the course of that entire weekend. And that Sunday did my book signing at Temple of Praise Church, along with a litany of other media interviews in that particular weekend. Took it from city to city, even brought it to Atlanta, and decided to host it at Morehouse since I was there. brought Pastor Jamal Bryant, who came and preached,
Okay.
and did exceptionally well, tore the house up. And then I honored two people who are mentors to me. I honored America Seam Reed, and I honored Will Packer, the producer, and DC Young Fly, the comedian and social media personality, and I guess he's an actor now because he was in, what's the name of that movie, Almost Christmas, and a whole bunch of others surprised and popped up, and it was just a phenomenal event. And I just ended the tour because I'm going to come out with my next book next year.
Your fourth book?
My fourth book.
Now you wrote your first book, I believe, when you were in my class, when you were 16 years old.
No, my first one
That wasn't your first one?
No, that was my second one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my second one. My first book was when I was 14, and it was called I Belong to God. Yep, and then my second one was called 911, The Spiritual Emergency System.
Okay.
And that one came out in 2015.
Right.
And then
That's
2016 was Walking in Victory.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what those books are about. I know you talked about the recent one. Tell us a little bit about the first two books that you wrote.
Yeah, sure thing. So I Belong to God, Staying on the Christian Path to Success, tells a tad bit of my journey of perseverance, my journey of dedication, commitment, and I would say my journey towards spirituality and what that looks like in my life. And so it talks about how I stay on the Christian path to success. It gives some practical steps that one can take to stay on the Christian path to success. Coming from that, 911, the Spiritual Emergency System, reveals this nature of spiritual warfare, what that really is, and how we can combat the spirits, the negatory spirits that are pressed against us on a daily manner, how we can be victorious and fight against the wails and the toils and the snares that the enemy sends our way. And then, of course, Walking in Victory is a declaration into the atmosphere for all those who choose not to enter into a state of complacency, which is one of the most tumultuous spirits that we as Christians deal with, is this spirit of complacency that God wants to keep me where I am. But I believe that God is destined for all of us to walk in victory, that God is destined for all of us to walk in authority, for us to experience the best of the best in whatever way that best is for us. But that we should never settle for less than ourselves.
Okay.
But that we should aim to be the best and to walk in victory amidst our circumstances.
What part does God's will have in that?
God's will has everything to do with that. You know, we are definitely, as the artist said, human spiritual beings having a human experience versus human beings having a spiritual experience. This free will that God graces us with allows us to experience the mastery of what destiny is all about. See, God's will is unchangeable, but our destiny is.
Okay.
Destiny and God's will are two totally separate things. God's will has everything to do with this overshadowing mandate that's over your life as to what will and what will not happen, versus your destiny, which has everything to do with you and I and what we do, that can actually change. It can shift.
Okay.
And so, yeah, God's will has everything to do with that.
Okay. I want to switch a little bit back to what I was talking about before you got here. As you probably already know, a travesty happened in Las Vegas this morning.
Definitely.
Where a gunman killed close to 60 people. And the first thing that I wrote was pray for the United States, because not just that, but we also have a lot of issues that are going on in this country at this time. And one of my Facebook friends wrote that they don't believe that prayer will help, that we need to fight. What message do you have to the world, as it relates to the importance of prayer, in addition to working for a solution to make things better in this country? And I know you said that Mayor Reed is one of your mentors, so I take it that you do know a little bit about politics as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And my day has been really filled today, and I haven't really gotten a chance to respond to many of the tweets or really even talk to any politicians or anything today to get an update. Some people have been texting me, but I haven't got a chance to really respond. But what I would definitely say is this. We are living in a world where we've grown accustomed to this idea of a godless society. You know, so many people just don't believe in God anymore. And even those who do believe in God, even those who do go to church, we're not spiritual as we're not as spiritual as we could be. You know, we don't put God first because we don't know what that means.
Right.
Because churches don't teach that. Churches don't teach what it means to be spiritual.
What does it mean to be spiritual?
What it means to be spiritual is to be in touch with yourself. And because if we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and if we're made in the image and after the likeness of God as children of God, then we hold God in our very essence. And if we don't know ourselves, then we will never know God. Plenty of people go throughout their entire religious life thinking they know God, but they don't, because they don't know themselves.
Wouldn't you say, too, knowing God has a lot to do with relationship with God as well?
It does, absolutely, but you cannot know anyone truly if you don't know yourself.
Okay. Never heard it put that way before.
You can't just, you know, it's really interesting because, you know, sometimes there has to be a birthing experience in order for you to know yourself. Just like mothers. Sometimes mothers don't know themselves until they have birthed their sons or their daughters, and it's in that experience that they know themselves. They come to know themselves, and then they therefore come to know their children, and so on and so forth.
Okay, interesting. All right. Once you graduate from Morehouse, what are your plans? Do you plan to pastor a church, or?
I definitely plan to go into senior pastorship. I don't know when. I got so many things going on right now. I just got into the acting dynamic.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, I just did that.
Tyler Perry.
Yes.
What is he like?
Wonderful.
Really?
Absolutely wonderful.
But now, what did you do with him?
So I did a movie that's coming out the 20th. It's called...
Of this month?
Of this month.
Oh, okay.
It's called Tyler Perry's Boo to a Medea Halloween.
Ah, and what role do you play?
So in that, I'm playing a geeky college student. I know I fit the role just perfectly. A geeky college student, and it's not a huge role. It's a cameo appearance. But yeah, it was pretty fun filming.
Okay, and you're also doing something with Taraji P.
Yeah,
Henson?
with Taraji P. Henson.
Okay.
Well, we just filmed it over the summer. It's called The Best of Enemies.
Okay.
And it's a story of a woman by the name of Ann Atwater.
Okay.
Who was responsible for who was responsible for protest, peaceful protest and strategy to desegregate the schools in North Carolina.
Oh, okay. So it's based on a true story.
Based on a true story.
Great.
So I was really, really passionate about it, and I really enjoyed filming that movie, especially because and in fact, I was talking to the assistant to the director maybe about a week afterwards. No, I'm sorry, not a week afterwards. Maybe a week before my part of filming had happened. And I was asking her, just how's filming going and everything. And she said then that she believes that out of her many years, and she's worked with Fast and Furious, all those series. She's F. Gary Gary's assistant director, all that type of stuff. She said that they took the best cinematic shots that she's ever seen.
Wow.
In her life in this movie.
Okay.
I believe that everybody needs to go to the movies and go see it. I don't know when it's coming out. I really don't.
Well, of course, I'll go see both of them.
Yes, please do.
Former students
please do.
is in both of them. what pastor inspires you the most, or who would you consider to be a role model? Is there a pastor who helped shape you to be the person that you are today?
Oh yeah, I have a litany of role models that I would do anything for because I respect them. Number one, from a pastoral perspective, would be Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Really?
Yeah. I love Bishop Jakes because Bishop Jakes is pastor, teacher, author, all that kind of stuff. He's multifaceted. I love the way that he approaches the text in Scripture. I love the way that he pastors his church. I love the balance that he has between church and secular. And I respect the integrity that he holds in the secular world and how many people he touches and how he touches them.
Okay.
My pastor is another example.
Okay.
Pastor William Philippin at the Greater Piney Grove Baptist Church.
Okay.
Another pastor would be Reverend Rosa Wynn up in Petersburg, Virginia. The rest of other role models would be people like Tyler Perry. I respect Tyler Perry in so many wonderful ways because he started from the bottom, made his way up to the top. He knows what it takes to be successful. I've learned a lot from him. Oprah Winfrey. I learned more from her in 10 minutes than I would have ever thought that I could have learned in 15 books combined.
That's awesome.
Absolutely amazing.
Well, now, have you met my pastor yet, Marlon Harris? Because I told you remind me a lot of him. He, due to the fact that he started out young as well. Yeah.
I have met your pastor. I can't remember the last time I've seen him, but I have met him. And I saw him a couple of occasions actually.
Okay.
I guess those are probably the main people. Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey. The charisma that he brings, the confidence, the fact that he's literally on like 5 to 6 shows at one time.
Wow.
I mean, Family Feud, Little Big Shots, Steve Harvey Show, Steve Harvey Morning Show.
What about professors? Do you have any favorite professors?
At Morehouse, Ilya Davis.
My classmate.
You know Dr. Davis? Dr. Davis, I
89.
took for Intro to Philosophy, favorite professor. Dr. Harold Bennett.
Okay.
I've not taken a class by Dr. Aaron Parker, but Dr. Parker.
Right. Well, when I say classmate people, I graduated from Spelman, class of '89. Dr. Davis is an alumni is for Spelman, but an alumni of Morehouse College. Okay. Go ahead.
He's awesome.
Right.
Dr. Cornel West.
Okay.
Dr. Michael Eric Dyson.
Have you met these people?
I have not met Cornel West or Michael Eric Dyson.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not.
But you follow what they
I definitely
speak
follow
about.
them, and hopefully sooner or later. I saw him. I saw him that weekend at the Smithsonian, but I didn't get a chance to say hello. It was like everybody who's everybody in one big room, and everybody's trying to get to everybody.
Okay.
But I would love to meet both of them.
Okay.
And hopefully to sooner or later be mentored, by them, because I believe that there are so many ways that they could bring insight to my little mind and to help, expand it. And so I think those are probably all the main professors that I can think of.
Now, this is my question. I remember when you were in my AP US History class and you were putting together conferences, you were promoting your book, you were still speaking, and yet you managed to do all of that. And now you're telling me that you're acting, still writing books, and I looked at your schedule online. You're still speaking in a lot of different places. How on earth do you manage all of that?
Well, gratefully, in the past 2 years, I've been able to procure a wonderful team to help me out with everything. Also, I think everything is about seasonal maturation, is what I tell people, right? To everything, there's a season.
Right.
God has allowed me to enter into these moments in my life at the time that I can actually manage it now.
Okay.
I don't think that if I would have gotten into acting, because I mean, even with this whole acting thing, it happened because I was on vacation in LA and got a phone call about it, and went ahead and flew back to Atlanta the week afterwards. You
weren't looking to go into acting?
Absolutely not. And that's what I'm saying, is that it's just seasonal maturation.
Wow, okay.
I come out of that one opportunity in March, caught a little bit of the acting bug,
Okay.
you know, and was able to get other opportunities that, you know, I again didn't even necessarily really search for. And still, I've got some sides and auditions that I've got to do from some people that have reached out in the past couple of days.
Okay.
For some other roles. And so I think that when God has prepared you for different things, you know, then everything begins to pull together.
Yeah.
It all pulls together from acting to authorship. Like this next book I'm going to come out with is going to be even better than the last one.
Okay, what is that about?
It's going to be called Empower Your Purpose. And I'm not finished writing it yet, but I will be finished probably in about 2-3 weeks. I'm going to come out with it sometime in February. And I'm going to tour for probably about 2 months.
Okay.
And add on way more markets than what I did last year. And I haven't formulated how I'm going to do the tour, because the last time I was doing my tour like a one night kind of revival kind of thing everywhere. But this book is going to be about something a lot different. This book, I'm going to be teaching people how to tap into your purpose and how to empower your purpose. And I'm going to be sharing these moments that I've had with some of the most successful people in the world. And I'm going to and I'm going to be talking about practical steps to make your life more productive and more effective. Because I realize in the past year I've been sharing this stuff with people all the time. Because I'm way more productive and effective now than what I was in high school, middle school, any of that. And I'm able to get a lot more done, and things are way more successful for me now. And I've been teaching this formula. And now I'm going to actually put it down on paper and to be able to reveal it. And I just thought about one more person that's a mentor to me that I don't even know how I forgot this person, because I believe that she's actually one of my favorite people in the entire world, and that's Dr. Bernice King.
Ah.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. She's genuine all the time, 24/7, casual settings, professional settings. She really wants to see this world be better, do better. And I really model after her. And so I don't know how I forgot about her. But she is one of my mentors as well.
Okay. Well, speaking of Dr. Bernice King and being a student at Morehouse College, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Was a graduate, is there anything about his quality that you see in yourself, or that you would like to possibly develop for yourself?
Absolutely. Servant leadership. When I first became introduced to the King Center and to Dr. King, it was through my mentor by the name of Trisha Harris. Oh, that's another one. Trisha Harris. And Trisha told me, the reason why you're going to enjoy working with the King Center is because you're going to learn under the leadership of Dr. King, Dr. Bernice King, you're going to learn servant leadership and what that's all about. And I said, okay. And she was absolutely right. Servant leadership is not all about fame. It's not all about fortune. It's not all about credit. It's not all about agility. But servant leadership sometimes has everything, or all the time really, has everything to do with generational impact. That's just what it comes down to. Generational impact and leading from the seeds.
Well, speaking of service, you have a nonprofit organization. Is it You Power or Your Power Purpose Incorporated?
You Power Purpose.
You Power Purpose Incorporated. How do you use that to give back to the community?
I actually just started this nonprofit about 3-4 months ago.
Oh,
and the crazy thing was this. I was involved in a pretty bad car accident in August.
Yes.
And
I remember that.
I was actually on my way to the King Center and for a press conference. And as soon as I got in the ambulance, you know, I've always got my mind moving. I said, Mom, I need you to call 3 people. I need you to call To take my phone, I need you to call my pastor.
Right.
I need you to call Dr. King.
Okay.
And I need you to call my professor because I had class in 2
right,
hours.
Right.
So I gotta let my professor know that I'm not gonna be able to make it to class.
Exactly.
I gotta let my pastor know I'm okay and to be praying for me.
Exactly.
And I gotta let Dr. King know that I'm gonna I won't be able to make it to the press conference today.
Okay.
And later on when I got home from the hospital, I spoke with her, and she said to me, I want you to take this time, listen to what the doctor says, and rest. I want you to hear the voice of God.
Mm-hmm.
Best advice that I could have ever received. The crazy thing was, throughout the entire weeks that I was at home resting and recovering, there was one word that if it wasn't for her advice, I would have never really heard the voice of God say.
Mm-hmm.
And that was purpose, 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 purpose.
Wow.
And a week before the accident, that's all, well, not a week before, maybe 2 weeks before the accident, that's what I was thinking. Purpose, purpose, purpose,
Mm-hmm.
purpose,
Mm-hmm.
purpose. I started a nonprofit where I knew I wanted to, because I was doing a lot of great things in the past before, but I wanted to start a nonprofit where I was going to be doing something to help young people directly.
Mm.
I wanted to, I was doing some wonderful things, but I wanted to figure out how can I practically impact this
Mm-hmm.
next generation.
Mm-hmm.
How can I bring some speakers in? How could I, I just I was trying to figure it out. So I at first called it the National Youth Empowerment Initiative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I had a million people telling me, from mentors to advisors, telling me that was just way too long. And I
Mm-hmm.
incorporated it in that name, actually.
Oh, wow.
And then that word purpose just kept coming in. And I was talking to my friend Kyle Dindy, who's 19 years old. He might be 20 now, but I think he's 19.
Okay.
In California.
Okay.
And wonderful preacher, wonderful guy. Everybody should check him out.
Okay.
And Kyle was like, I think that one thing that we should be talking about in this organization is purpose. I said, hold up, that's what I've been thinking about for the past 2 weeks. And we started talking about this, coming up with this curriculum
Mm-hmm.
of purpose. And then, so I said, and he's the chair of my board, by the way.
Okay.
My board of directors.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, this is what it's going to be called. After I spoke
Mm-hmm.
with Trisha, and Trisha helped me to envelope this right here. You Power Purpose, Inc. And I'm still getting the formation. The accident kind of threw me off, but it also advanced me, you know, in my thinking. I'm still kind of putting the formation of it together. But it's essentially going to be a nonprofit organization that's going to be focused on helping, what's the mission of this organization? The mission of the organization is, so I have a lot of things on my mind. The mission of the organization is to help empower the next generation. But it's essentially going to be focused on purpose.
Is it through ministry?
It's not through ministry.
Or whatever it is they want.
It has nothing to do with ministry.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted to do, was something that had nothing to do with ministry.
Okay.
I want to figure out how could I touch these young people in ways outside of God, you know. And so that's why I did You Power Purpose.
Okay.
Because Kyle is a preacher too.
Okay.
Author, you know, all that type of stuff. And he's going to be helping me with the organization. And he's already got wonderful connects on the West Coast. And,
Okay.
you know, he taps into some different markets that I don't tap into, wonderful relationships with people. But we both agreed that this goes beyond God. This is the next generation of leaders, and we want to help build leaders.
Okay.
And I believe that God has given me some insight to share with young people on how they can become better leaders. And it would be selfish for me not to share it with them.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're doing better. I asked my Facebook friends and family to pray for you.
Thank you.
Are you fully
I am
healed?
like at 95%.
Okay.
I am still sore.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty much back to the get-go.
Okay.
Gratefully, no internal bleeding.
Okay.
No broken bones. None of that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. When I was doing, you just celebrated your 20th birthday too.
Yeah.
Happy belated
I'm
birthday.
getting old.
You get out. Okay. How did you celebrate? What did you do for your birthday?
What did I do for my birthday? I was trying to figure that out for like weeks, and I still haven't fully celebrated it because at first, I went to Outback on Thursday. Well, I went out to eat with some friends and family on that Friday. Yeah, and then I was going to go to Topgolf.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened this weekend. I think I might have forgot
Okay.
to go to Top Golf. I don't know,
Okay,
but
okay.
and then a couple of friends had taken me out on. I guess it was Saturday.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna celebrate it
Can I get a
again.
little personal?
Mhm.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I don't have a girlfriend.
Okay. So, what requirements do you seek for your first lady?
Well, first they have to be willing to be a first lady.
Okay. Okay.
You know, that's one of the biggest hindrance,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Is that most women my age
Mhm.
don't want to date future pastors.
Wow.
Now, women in their late 20s and 30s maybe so, but
Okay.
most women my age don't.
Okay.
Um,
They want to go to the party.
they want to go to the
Right,
party,
yeah.
and they also don't want to deal with the scrutiny and the judgment because they're still a college student. Me, on the other hand, I don't go to parties. I haven't really been to a party, in college, and I live a wonderful
Don't
life.
feel bad.
I don't
got
feel bad
saved
at all.
16.
I don't feel
I
bad at
didn't
all.
either.
I don't feel bad at all.
Okay.
I still really enjoy myself. I
Okay.
still have a lot of
Okay.
fun, but I live a very
How it
open
is.
book. I live a very
Yeah.
open book. I don't really hide anything. I don't really have a whole lot of secrets.
Right.
And that said, with a lot of women, I just noticed that they're just the possible scrutiny and judgment that comes with it. One post on a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everybody's looking at them at all times. All that kind of stuff. It becomes very oppressive for them. And I've even had some women that told me that I intimidated them. That I like just by me going to an event and them going with me.
Really?
That
wow.
they walk in and they say, "I didn't know that you did so much. I'm kind of intimidated now." And it's like, wow. So I don't know. I guess in this time, or but yeah, I just haven't found anywhere near the one.
Okay.
So,
Well, you're
I don't
still
really
young.
have
You're
I don't
just
really have
20.
requirements.
You have
though.
time.
I wouldn't say I have any type of requirements.
Right.
Just
okay. They just want to feel that
really
role
care about
and live
me.
in that. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's important. Now I guess I'm going to take a little darker tone now. I read where you eulogized a classmate. I'm sure that was something pretty hard for you to deal with at that time. Could you kind of elaborate as to what happened?
Sure thing. That was actually my first time ever eulogizing someone who was my age.
Wow.
And it was, and especially someone who I went to high school with at Druid Hills. And when his mother, Miss Shakita, had reached out to me and asked me to eulogize him, I was very honored, that they would even ask of me to do such a thing. And what I noticed about, that opportunity is, everything happens for a reason, with God. Because, it was a very innocent case. He was hit and run. And I believe that a lot of souls were saved in the room. I saw people, in high school that I hadn't seen in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
I guess technically, maybe 3 years. Well, I don't know, 2.5, however long I've been out of high school. But they were inspired by the message because I funerals, homegoing celebrations are not for the dead, they're for the living.
Right.
And so I preached a message. It was titled because they called him 223. That was his rap name. So I titled it When 223 Meets JC. And the thing behind it was, are you gonna, he's met JC. Are you gonna meet him too? Right.
Actually, that's how I gave my life to Christ at 16. I had gone to a funeral where the young man was in a police chase. He had stolen a car and the police chased him, and he ended up dying in a car wreck. And I was like, what's going to happen to me if I was 16 at the time and he was 18. And so the question was, well, what would happen to me if I die? Even though I grew up in the church, I went to church every day, I still had that question. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that we're not born into salvation. We're all born sinners, and we have to at one point decide for Jesus to become our Lord and Savior.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I read also where or actually I saw an interview that talked about how your mother wanted to keep you as a normal kid as much as possible, and she signed you up for gymnastics. Are you still a gymnast, or?
No, I'm not a gymnast anymore. I can't remember when I
Okay.
ended gymnastics,
Okay.
and I can't remember why. I did martial arts. I'm a black belt. People
Really?
don't know that, but yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I am a black belt in martial arts.
Okay, okay.
Something called Mushimdo.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
It is a combination of the arts, but it's based in Taekwondo.
So how long have you been into the martial arts?
I did it from like maybe 13 to maybe 16 years old, maybe 15. I don't remember exactly. And I actually probably am going to go back to it eventually when I can just stabilize my time a little bit. But I did enjoy martial arts. And I am so grateful that my mom made that decision for me to have that normal childhood. For me to be able to go to regular school, for me to be able to, have friends. It was the best decision that she could have ever made for me, because it just saturated, everything that was going on in my life to make sure that I was never regretful of anything. And now that's at the state that I'm at right now. I'm not regretful of my childhood.
Good, okay. Are you going to homecoming, or how will you celebrate homecoming?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be at homecoming.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm going to celebrate homecoming. I'm probably just going to be at tailgate all day.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to the, what is it called, the homecoming ball? What is it called?
It's been a long time since I've been out of Spelman.
I don't go to. I haven't been to neither one of my freshman year or my sophomore year.
Okay.
'Cause I think the first year I actually missed tailgate.
Okay.
Because I had an NAACP event actually.
Oh, okay. They always have the dinner the same night.
It's always the same,
Yeah,
but this time it won't, because I was at the Heart of South DeKalb Festival the other day supporting my mom
I was
for
there.
something that she was doing. Oh, you were there?
They did a shout out for this show. They
Oh,
called
really?
your name.
Oh,
Commissioner
wonderful.
Johnson did.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And he was so, he's always just been so supportive of me.
Right.
I've always, in fact, he came and visited me when I was sick.
Oh, that's
And brought me food, brought me some pizza.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice. Okay.
I was just really grateful for that, and he's another mentor. Just somebody who always pours into me and always looks out for me, makes sure that I'm doing good in school.
Okay.
And a lot of those events that I was putting together when I was in high school, it was because of the support of Commissioner Larry Johnson.
Okay.
He has
great.
always been a partner in all of my community work.
Okay, that's good. I want to go back to the Bible a little bit and tie it in with today's politics. And I'm sure you know this verse better than I do, but there is a verse in the Bible that talks about praying for your leaders. We know there's a lot of tension going on in this country. Do you encourage people to continue to pray? How should people pray about our government, about our president, about what's going on today?
Well, we don't need to pray for them in a sense of trusting the government.
Okay.
We need to pray for them in a sense of trusting that God will allow his will to go forth.
Okay.
And that he will touch the hearts and the minds of these leaders that are in the White House and that are in that are on Capitol Hill and that are in the judicial system, to convict them to make the best decisions that they can in their particular situations. There must be an integration of the church and politics, in a sense of us being the voice of reason versus the voice of compromise, the voice of justice versus I would say this evilness that we're seeing so much in many of our churches and among most of our church leaders at this time, like I've never seen before, of them allowing money and just structural advancement to help them do the complete opposite of the work of the gospel.
Right.
It's the complete opposite.
Right.
But I have no problem with pastors that go and meet with Donald Trump to advise him on what he should and should not do.
A lot of people do have
A
problems,
lot of people
though.
do have a problem with it.
Okay. Why do you not have a problem with it?
Because if you have the opportunity to speak out publicly against the man, why not speak out privately against the man?
Do you think that's what they're doing? Or
Oh, there are several
they
that do.
looking
Like, I
out?
know a guy named Pastor Samuel Rodriguez.
Okay.
Well, I don't know him personally. Well, I have met him. Actually, I just met him recently.
Okay.
But Pastor Samuel Rodriguez, and most people are very familiar with him. He's the president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference,
Okay.
which kind of models off of SCLC. And he's not going to the White House to tell Donald Trump that he's doing a phenomenal job. But he's going to the White House every time they call to hold him accountable.
That's great.
And he will tweet what was done, what was said at the White
I need
House.
to follow him.
But
Okay.
and there are other pastors that are the same case. You know, of course, there are also a lot of pastors who are not in that case.
Right.
But I commend those. I mean, what type of injustice is it for me? I tweet Donald Trump every day, you know, about to correct him on all of his wrongdoings. You know, and I've gotten blocked by so many of his administration.
Wow.
Oh yeah, so many. I've even Pastor Daryl Scott, the you know, pastor up in Columbus, Ohio,
Okay.
who convened that meeting with the pastors in
Right.
New York at Trump Tower.
Right. Right.
I don't know. He tweeted up something last week or 2 weeks ago where he was like, some speech that Donald Trump gave was the best speech ever. And I responded and said, absolutely wrong. That was it. That's all I
Good
put.
for you.
And
Good.
then he blocked me.
Okay.
And then I tweeted and was like, what a absolutely immature thing to block
Right.
somebody for
Right.
voicing their opinion. I mean, he was following me.
That happens a lot.
And I've communicated with him back and forth.
Right.
You know, I've
Okay.
communicated over the course of, mainly since the election.
Okay.
Because he started reaching out to so many, you know, different pastors and preachers to do so
Okay.
much.
Right.
And I remember at one point I told him, you know, I reached out to him and said, you know, let's have a conversation in person. And I was going to either be willing to fly out to Columbus or he could come here to Atlanta or anywhere. Have a conversation in person, because I completely disagreed with people like, you know, Pastor Paula White and others who were counseling him in different ways than what others
for you.
were. So,
Okay.
but you know how those people are.
Let me ask you this then: if you did get Trump's ear, what would your message be? What would you say to him?
I would have to write it down. I wrote an op-ed the other day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I said I'd rather stand. What did I say? I'd rather kneel with Colin Kaepernick than ever stand with Donald Trump.
Ah, great.
That's what
I
it was
love
titled.
that title. Okay.
And most of my thoughts were, well, actually, not most of my thoughts, but most of my thoughts in regards to this approach to just even racism and stuff like that. Because see, this is my thing about Donald Trump. And I know people are going to think I'm absolutely crazy. But I don't think that Donald Trump believes 70% of half the stuff that he says.
Wow. Why is that?
Because I believe that he says everything that comes to his mind and everything that makes sense to him. I think that in several ways, Donald Trump operates in complete ignorance.
Okay.
And ignorance is a bliss.
Yes. That's true.
So, and you know, you could be a billionaire and be ignorant.
Right. Right.
You can be a very successful person and be completely ignorant.
Right.
And I guess it's not to say necessarily that Donald Trump is ignorant,
Right.
but I believe that 90% of the time he operates
Right.
in ignorance.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, it's almost time to wrap everything up. Where can the viewers go to get more information about you, as well as to buy one of those books?
Oh, sure. You can go onto my website, www.jarrettsawyerjr.com.
Okay.
and on there I've got my books on there, and it's on Amazon and Barnes, everywhere books are sold. It's there.
Okay.
And they can also find me on my not on my website, but on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Okay.
On Instagram, I'm at Preach Jared. On Twitter, I'm at Jared Sawyer Jr. And on Facebook, I'm at Jared Sawyer Jr. And just do the verified, the one with the blue check by it, and that's me.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for
you're more than welcome.
Time out of your busy schedule to come do this interview for me. You're all grown up, voice is deeper, the mustache, the beard,
it's coming
everything.
in.
It is. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Conversations with Rita. This is a Fanciful Films Entertainment Company production. Thank you.